Adventures Over 55 is brought to you by Transparent DTV, making television history.
Thank you. Nice to see you. Merry Christmas. Greetings and welcome to another episode of Adventures Over 55, your adventure trekking specialists here with our big super duper holiday year in review special. You know, we had a great time filming our first season of Adventures Over 55, starting off in the Southwest, Arizona, Utah, Route 66, the California desert, then to San Diego, where we attended the International Mobile Film Festival, and up to downtown LA, up to Santa Monica for the American Film Market, over to the Smoky Mountains, and then down to South Florida, coast to coast, for a lot of fun with the alligators. You know, everybody should take to the road and see how great this country is. And this episode, we're going to show you some of the highlights of what you can do too. If you want to book a tour or appear on the show or just got an idea, visit adventuresover55.com. That's adventuresover55.com, or email us at adventuresover55@gmail.com. One of the great things about holiday time in the city are these little holiday markets that take place in like Columbus Circle, Union Square, where vendors come from all around the United States to sell their artwork, their jewelry, clothing, food. And it's the perfect place for us to tell you about our first show, which took place in the Southwest. This segment is from a little remote outpost called Kelso Depot. We're in the middle of the Mojave Desert.
All he needs is his motorcycle now. He's got the glasses. Now he's got to buy the motorcycle.
If I knew how to motorcycle, I'd be going on those dunes, but the way to get there is some rough roads. And I'll tell you, we've been doing this in a 4-cylinder Nissan. Granted, it's a new car, but I would not want to do this again. We had a lot of moments there where we were quite literally like, uh-oh, what did we get ourselves into? How can you eat at a time like this?
I don't know how anybody could work out here in this heat.
It's not that bad. It's like 87 degrees, actually.
But you can feel the heat from the sun.
There's not a cloud in the sky. It is bright. But again, why don't we go take a look over at the visitor center and
yeah, let's take a look. See what we can
see
find.
what Kelso Depot is all about.
See what we can find.
It took a lot to win World War II, and outposts, settlements like Kelso Depot were very instrumental in helping the United States cull the resources necessary to win World War II. At the visitor center, there's 2 floors of exhibits about the railroad itself, as well as the terrain and the nature that surrounds this settlement, but as well as the private lives of the people that worked here.
In the other room, I think you're going to get a chance to giddy up. Come on, come with me.
What we'll do for a gag.
Ready? Go. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. Felt good to get out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain. La, la.
All right, we'll let you know. So why Kelso Depot? I'm sure that's the question on everybody's mind. Why here? Well, back in the pre-World War II days, it was all about rail, and not like the kinds of diesel locomotives that they have now. In those days, you had, I guess, steam engines and, other kinds of locomotive trains that needed to refuel and be serviced, and these helper trains, because of the mountains, they would be tugging all this ore, and so they needed sort of like the equivalent of, what are those called? The tugs. Those are like rail tugs. And so they set up Kelso in the 1920s, I think it was, built in 1924. And not much of it left.
Look what I found on the ground. You left your Rocky Bowinkle glasses.
Now, we are at the Kelso jail. This is actually the real, original Kelso jail, which was used to basically hold unruly individuals, drunks, and so forth. And it was actually, I think, in use until 1985, so about 32 years ago now. Are you going to behave? Seriously, think about all the things you've done and how many apologies you owe me.
Well,
I've got you in the original Kelso jail. What are you going to do? I mean, you have anything to say to
I'm
yourself?
sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to throw you in the river. It just was an accident.
No, it wasn't. How
So-
long do you think you could really stay in there if somebody threw a padlock on you?
Well, I like the fact that I can see and there's a nice breeze, but there's no snacks or anything to drink,
You and your snacks and candy. What do you think,
and
guys?
there's no ladies' room in here, so I probably couldn't last real long.
What do you think,
But
guys?
Brian, let me out. I promise I'll be good. I promise.
What do you think, guys? Should I let her out?
I'll be good only for 5 minutes, though.
The original Kelso jail.
Isn't this bizarre? You have all of this beach.
Where does it come from? It's so fucking dry. Where does the water come from?
I don't know.
Colorado River? or-
Maybe.
Why do they call it the Salt Sea? I mean, what's the deal?
I don't know why everybody doesn't come here.
Well, there's a reason for that. Bombay Beach is a small community on the Salton Sea, which is the largest lake in California. It sits directly on top of the San Andreas Fault, yet 250 people still call Bombay Beach home. Eclectic doesn't begin to describe the mixture of houses, some of which are well manicured with desert cactus, new windows, while the rest are dilapidated or abandoned. There are rusted boats and broken down campers everywhere, and which are covered in graffiti. In the 1950s, Frank Sinatra, the Beach Boys, and other celebrities took up residence at the Salton Sea, but developers, who at one point sold 32,000 homes, couldn't compete with Mother Nature. Agricultural runoff from Colorado River farming communities brought overflows of salt-rich soil into the lake along with pesticides. And by the 1970s, rising salinity levels caused the fish to die and tourism as well. By the 1980s, the beachside resorts were ghost towns. Still, the Salton Sea is perhaps the largest and most important bird habitat in North America, with more than 375 bird species having been recorded in the Salton Sea, including raptors, bald eagles, and peregrine falcons. My agent said the Opera House at Bombay Beach. I didn't expect this. I could fit more people in my living room. I can't wait to get a hold of my agent. Well, I guess I better audition anyway. Werd ein Augenblick. Die Rache werde ich kühlen, dich rufen dein Geschick. You know, I liked California so much that I decided to hang around and attend the International Mobile Film Festival with my friend Robin. From there, we went up to downtown LA. On this episode of Adventures Over 55, Robin and I will be starting in sunny San Diego, where I'll be attending the International Mobile Film Festival. Then we head east to the desert town of Boulevard, where we'll walk one of the oldest man-made labyrinths in the United States. From there, we'll mosey on over to the ghost town of Julian, California, and back over to the coast to check out the flower fields in Carlsbad. Then we make our way north up the Pacific Coast Highway and take in the sights from the cliffs at Laguna Beach, and we'll end this adventure at our hotel in the City of Angels, where we'll have a few days to take in the history and the culture of downtown LA. Well, we're on our way over to the Mission Bay Conference Center for the International Mobile Film Festival. Why? Well, yours truly submitted a film. It's not exactly the Garden of Eden now, is it, Jack?
What? Did you imagine that I would arrive in a long white robe?
But we're not going to think about any of that right now. We're going to think about lots of people who have taken to making feature as well as short films on their mobile devices. And there may be a few surprises. We're here at the International Mobile Film Festival in San Diego, California. You know, people are shooting all kinds of content on their mobile phones. We're not just talking about little YouTube clips. We're talking about full-length features. And you know what? Even great shows like Adventures Over 55. Oh, there's more people coming. Shh. Which way to the stage? I am out in the middle of nowhere, looking for this labyrinth. It's beautiful out here. I mean, there's no one around, you know? This one is an 11th Circuit labyrinth. You are not supposed to step over the lines. You have to enter and then walk the whole thing and do your prayer and meditation, and in your case, some repentance. I wonder if this will be good for my karma. Most likely not. And whether you believe in karma or Buddha or Jesus or something else, one thing is indisputable, and that is this place is peaceful. Isn't she cute? Look at her. Walking the maze like she's on the way to pick up her car or something. Some people may recognize this building, the Ray Bradbury building, from the set of Blade Runner. It's over 100 years old, 125 years old. The architecture is exquisite. Elevators still work, but you're not allowed to go above the first floor because there's still tenants in here. It was almost torn down in the 1990s, but thankfully, Louis Bradbury, I'm not sure if there was a relation, bought the property and renovated it. They're still doing film shoots here. All over downtown, what's old is new. When the banks and the law firms moved out in the 1980s, buildings on South Spring Street emptied out and poverty set in. Buildings that somehow escaped the wrecking ball have made good, however, on a second chance by becoming homes to cultural arts centers, theater groups, galleries, food markets, malls, and more. This building at 514 South Spring Street was built in 1916 by the architect John Parkinson, who designed many of the buildings in this part of town. The ceiling is 50 by 100 feet, and it's supported by bronze cornices and marble walls. Now it's the home to the Los Angeles Theater Center. Look at this place. I'm like the only one here. I have it all to myself. This is the Los Angeles Theater Center on Spring Street in downtown LA. Looks like it was an old train depot at one point, but they've renovated it and turned it into an arts, theater, and cultural center. I'm ready to get my award right now. Yeah, 55 looks pretty good, doesn't it? Old man doesn't look bad in a suit, does he? This is the World Trade Center, by the way, the PATH station. Check it out. If you haven't been to the World Trade Center in a few years, you really gotta come. It's so modern, it's futuristic, really beautiful, a lot of shops, and definitely worth the visit. You know, we had so much fun in San Diego that we decided to stick with the California motif and head over to the American Film Market in Santa Monica. Welcome to another episode.
I'm gonna kill you. I got my sunglasses on. You didn't even leave the door open.
I'm gonna work your ass off, just so you know. You think I'm gonna be doing all the hustling? You're gonna be working tomorrow.
I've been hustling for 35 years.
Well, there's not a lot of people here yet, which is great because everybody was out partying last night in Santa Monica. So they have all these different floors. We're gonna see what we can see. We're gonna check it out. It's like a lot. Well, it is quite something to behold. People buying and selling films. Some people trying to finance scripts, which has got to be a rough go. A new Christmas Story
Yes.
starts filming in New York, and maybe you see yours truly in it. Sort of like a sort of like a middle-aged white guy that's sort of like a little funny, a little, you know.
Yeah.
All right, now stomach it, come on, chest out, just go like this, ready? All right, let's go. There we go, 3, 2, 1.
Trees are green and I see rivers too. I watch them bloom for me and you and I.
Here we are at the end of the trail, Route 66. It doesn't get any further to the end than that, does it?
We've come to a dead end, but we've seen a lot of talented people, a lot of fun people here.
And we went to the film market. If you want to find out more about our show, go to www.adventuresover55.com or check us out on Transparent DTV on Roku, Xbox, Apple TV, and in your dreams too.
What a wonderful world.
From the City of Angels to the Big Apple, here we are at Christmas time in front of one of the most famous stores in the world where you can window shop and it won't dent your wallet too much. You know, one of the things that people notice when they come to New York is that there's cranes all over the place. Isn't that what you're wondering?
Where?
The cranes everywhere.
Oh, yes.
Come here for a second. You want to be on TV? Come on. Now, don't you want to know why there are all these cranes all over the place?
Well, I assume there's a lot of construction in New York City.
And I'll bet that one of the things you want to know is how they get those big HVAC units, those air conditioning units, on top of these buildings, right? Well, you know what? We've got an answer for you. No. You got companies like Pedowitz Heavy Machinery Movers. Take a look. We're actually on a crane job where Pedowitz Machinery Movers is going to take this HVAC unit and hoist it up to the top of that building, and then they're going to deposit it on the roof. Let's see how they do it. Meet one of the guys who makes it happen, Joe Forgione of Pedowitz Machinery Movers. How many guys are you going to be using on a job like this?
On this particular job, probably around 20.
20. And so you start late at night, you cart all the stuff in, and you park, and then what happens?
What happens is we'll call the truck that's ready to go. We'll walk around, we'll pick that piece of equipment up. That truck will pull off, and then we'll pull another piece of equipment up. It's all in rotation.
And so how long does a process like this take?
Probably takes about 6 hours to build the crane, maybe 4 hours of lifting.
What's involved in building a crane?
Well, you have to put pieces together, counterweights on. You have to set down a platform because we're setting up on a subway, so we got to put down crane mats and cleats and beams. And
Will this street be blocked off?
This whole street will be blocked off, yes.
Okay. And so then once you get the crane built, then the next step is you got to secure the equipment, and then the crane operator shows up. He's like the rock star, right?
Yeah, he's the rock star.
I heard those guys make amazing money too.
Yeah, they do.
Well, I've been sleeping all night. The guys from Pedowitz Machinery Movers have been carefully assembling that crane piece by piece. Took about 6-7 hours while the city slept. And now what they're going to do is they are going to hoist that huge HVAC unit onto the top of that building. All right, it's showtime. They've got the hook and the cable's all secure, and this baby is going up. I'll bet you didn't know how they got HVAC units on the tops of these buildings to heat and cool us all year round, provide fresh air, but now you do, thanks to Adventures Over 55. You never know what you're going to see on our show. Brought to you by Transparent Digital Television, transparentdtv.com. Again, if you want to book a tour, or find out more about how you can appear on the show, email us at adventuresover55@gmail.com or visit our website, adventuresover55.com. Now, from Park Avenue South, we're going to head over to the Smoky Mountains for another episode. And this time we decided to do something a little different. We brought along a special guest visitor. Boy, was it fun.
How was the landing?
Do you realize what you're holding right now?
I know, I'm holding history.
Ow! You know, we always like to do a ghost town segment on Adventures Over 55, and we are in Cades Cove, which is not only a ghost town, but it's also on the National Register of Historic Places. Settled in about 1820 by Euro-Americans from the East Coast. These people wanted to homestead their own land. They were farmers. They wanted to worship as they wanted to worship. And, they started going west. This is a particularly beautiful settlement. It's in eastern Tennessee because you can not only go into all of these houses, but they're preserved pretty much the way they were, maybe not with furniture and stuff, but since like the 1820s. So these are like 200-year-old structures. Let's go take a look. Cades Cove has the largest variety of historic buildings in the entire Smoky Mountains National Park. As you make your way through the area, you can see historic structures like restored churches, old grist mills, and pioneer log cabins. At its peak, the population reached about 625 in the 1850s. The last resident, who lived there for decades by himself, died in 1999.
Welcome to the second church in Cades Cove. Missionary Baptist Church, formed in 1839.
This was built by the people who got expelled from the other church.
So many people died just to make this country. And, that's why no matter what, the number one thing that you have is your health. Right? And the thing that's really sort of puts things into perspective, can you just slap her? Stop fooling around. Show some respect.
I got me a child.
This is what I'm dealing with, these two of them. Cades Cove is certainly beautiful in the Smoky Mountains National Park, but we need to liven things up a little bit, and I got just the right thing. Woo! We are at the Hatfield McCoy Dinner Feud Family Hour here in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
The feud started in the early 1800s over stolen pigs, and it's rumored to still be going on to this day.
I just came here for the food and for the gift shop. I saw a pig that I wanted.
Hopefully it's not the stolen one.
We're here with Naomi, Timmy, CJ, and Blake from the cast, and we're going to ask them a couple of questions. First of all, how did the Hatfield McCoy, who started it? That's what I want to know.
Well, you mean the actual feud, or who started this shit?
Probably her.
If there's a fight, she probably started it.
So give us a little history about the Hatfield McCoy feud. How did this happen?
Right toward the end of the Civil War, the two families got into a big scuffle along the Kentucky-West Virginia border, along the Tug River.
The owner of the company, David Fee, originally went over to Pike County, Kentucky, and spoke to the Hatfields and McCoys. They said, what a great idea, hence the Hatfield-McCoy Dinner Feud, which is what we have now. The show's been here for 8 years.
You stole my pig!
You won't win! Give me that pig and my daughter!
Wow, that Sophia is something else, huh? Chip off the old block. We're in front of the Plaza Hotel, where we've got carriage rides, we've got Christmas carolers, we've got the Apple Store. And one more episode of Adventures Over 55, where Jamie and I take a ride on the wild side down A1A and across the Tamiami Trail in South Florida. One of the great things about South Florida is there are two routes west from the East Coast to the West Coast. One is Alligator Alley, but even better is the Tamiami Trail. Alligator Alley is literally a straight shot, but there's really nothing to see. However, the Tamiami Trail has all kinds of quirky little attractions and like alligators, just like Alligator Alley. And it's got, Indian reservations. and from what I understand, the smallest post office in the United States.
Hi, I'm Allie. Welcome to the first National Preserve here. There's only 13, and we are the first one here at Big Cypress. You look mighty good today.
Uh-oh. Now, I'm not getting fully out of the car because I saw another one of them. They have friends, and they walk in and out of here. But this fellow right there, he would drag me under and have me for lunch in a second, and it would be a gourmet meal for sure.
Full meal deal. We're in some swamp area, and it's loaded with gators. And I don't really want to come upon one because
Well, that's what they have these things for.
once a gator clamps down, he doesn't let go. That's not good. Okay? It's kind of like an old boyfriend you can't get rid of. You know what I mean? No pun intended.
Got something on the side of your...
How can you eat at a time like this?
Every show, you're chowing down.
The gators, they make me nervous. I had to eat something.
We are here on the Tamiami Trail.
No, we're not. Oh, now we are. Here we are at the smallest post office in the U.S., the Atapi Post Office. They have my stamp of approval because it's been here so long that you can get even stamps. People, collectors stop by here. But I don't understand that because there's no employees here. So how do they get the stamps? Unless, I don't know, unless they mail something to themselves. I'm not really quite sure how that works.
Look, the mail, and this, we're going to prove to you that this is a working post office because this guy is going to pick up the mail. Not stopping.
Did you say you have a lot of fan mail? You're not kidding. Oh my God, you are a movie star. Look at this.
Well, that'll do it for another episode of Adventures Over 55. What a great first year it's been. We started off in Arizona, went across Route 66 down to the Salton Sea in the California desert, up to San Diego, then up to Santa Monica for the American Film Market. Then we went down to the Smoky Mountains and picked up this guy, our co-star, Sophia McLean. What was your favorite part of the Smoky Mountains episode?
Go-karts.
I thought you might have said the Lincoln Museum where you touched his hair. Remember that? Then we went down to South Florida where we did our coast-to-coast episode and fooled around with the alligators, and now culminating with our year in review special brought to you from Calvary Baptist Church. It's one of the oldest churches in the United States. Did you know that? Built in 1809. What'd you learn today from today's sermon?
Victory, victory, victory!
And the parable of the fig tree is that we all must bear fruit or perish. And that's what we try and do with our shows. Bring a little joy, show you what's possible when you get out there on the road. Spread goodness and life and happiness and peace to as many people as you can. If you want to find out more about our show, go to adventuresover55.com. If you've got an interesting business or attraction or want to appear on the show or just got a great idea, email us at adventuresover55@gmail.com. Do you have anything you want to say to these people before we close out the year?
How about bye?
We'll see you next time. Wait for me.